to do is find out the accuracy.
Do you agree with that characterization of Bart Ehrman's views on the...
I've not heard it, so I can't...
Shall we Google that now? Let's be clear what Bart Ehrman is saying on this issue. Then also, I think the more important issue here is the way that the New Testament quotes the Torah. It doesn't quote the original Torah. No one should dispute this. It quotes from a Greek translation. And the Greek translation, as scholars have been well aware, although most Christians are not aware of this, is occasionally really poor and mangles or misrepresents or even mistranslates the original. And this is not a point that Bart Ehrman alone makes. It's well known amongst Old Testament scholars. So if we're looking for corruption, I think it's the elephant in the room. It's not like what percentage of the Dead Sea Scrolls is faithfully transmitted to our translation. The New Testament itself quotes from a Greek translation, which is often very poor, and it mistranslates, mangles, or even deliberately distorts, I would argue. I can think of one example in Hebrews, which is an egregious example. I'll mention it to you, okay? It's a quote from the Psalms. This is in Hebrews chapter 11, where the author of Hebrews 11 quotes a psalm to prove a point of Christian doctrine, which says in this psalm, and I'm paraphrasing here because of the top of my head, that God gave his son a body. It's the incarnation to inhabit, that God gave his son a body. So it's talking about the incarnation in Hebrews. When you look at the original in Hebrew, it says nothing about that at all. It talks about a completely different subject. The point is this, and this is a standard observation, that the New Testament writers have used a distorted mistranslation to create Christian doctrine about the incarnation of Jesus. I mean, this is so central to Christian faith. It is based on a false mistranslation. So I would offer you that specific example for us to discuss now, because we can really hone in the detail of this and look how the New Testament has corrupted and mistranslated even the Torah they had at the time. So that's my challenge to you.
I'm starting off with because my question initially was about the Torah, not the New Testament.
No, but it's the New Testament quoting the Torah is what I'm talking about.
But my initial point wasn't related to the New
But which
Testament.
Torah? There's a Septuagint, the Masoretic, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Right.
There are lots of Torahs.
Yeah. So essentially,
it's complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, your question didn't suggest complexity, but rather kind of a simplistic
so
understanding.
essentially, that my statement was when we have the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I have to find a percentage quote because it'll take too much.
I'm still waiting for it.
Yeah, it will take too long. So,
I can wait.
Yeah, but
I'll
let's
wait.
have a discussion.
I'll wait for your quote because you've made an assertion which you've not been able to back up.
Maybe just as a parenthetical.
So I said essentially 90-95% it matches up with the Masoretic text.
I don't know any scholar who says that. That is very different because
I've seen
quotes along those
claims
lines
like that.
claims, yes, but I'm saying that scholars haven't said this.
I haven't delved into who was making the claims specifically, but
it's a common claim. You're absolutely right, but it's fake news. It's not true.
The Dead Sea Scrolls are viewed very differently by Jews in relation to the texts that they have versus how the Dead Sea Scrolls are.
It'll take too long because there's too many links. So
Anyway,
I'll be here too long because I've been looking already.
No, Mike, we came back to what you asked me about the Quran teaches about corruption about the Torah. I'm saying that one example, they're not given by the Quran, which meets the Quran's allegation, is the well-known example in Hebrews chapter 11 where the Bible misquotes the Quran to prove points of Christian doctrine. Yeah. It's a really serious point, this. And I think that's a good example. They're not detailed by the Quran, of what the Quran is talking about nonetheless. And I'm offering this to you something we can talk about now on camera to discuss what the New Testament has done to the Bible, the Old Testament, because it often misquotes it. And there are many examples. And Paul, for example, if you check Paul's quotes, this is the Apostle Paul in his letters, with the Hebrew Bible, in a good English translation, like the NRSV, what is striking about it, to me, is how often he misquotes it. He doesn't actually have, he leaves out phrases, or he gives a completely different meaning to it, or he lops off a crucial clause at the end. This is quite typical of Paul.
Yeah, but so this
is what the Quran is talking about.
But my initial question, because I was more concerned with the corruption of the Torah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the corruption of the Torah in Christian writings.
Yeah, but I'm not at the moment concerned about whether Paul misquoted something or not. So
This is your New Testament.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I wanted to know about the corruption of the Torah, not whether Paul misquoted something.
No, the question is, did the Jews corrupt the Torah?
Yes.
Paul was a Jew. Okay, you agree with that, don't you?
Yes.
So we have an example here of an actual known historical Jew corrupting the Torah, and we have evidence in your hand now in the New Testament. And I can prove it to you if you'd just like to check. We can do this experiment now.
So what is your?
So I've given you an example of Jews actually corrupting the Torah, and you say, I'm not talking about that.
Paul was misquoting.
Yes, it's easy to demonstrate.
Right. So that's again. But if he's misquoting, I'm talking about textual corruption.
So am
of
I.
the Torah.
So am I. There is textual corruption.
If misquoting
He's changing the
means-
text.
No, misquoting. To be specific, what I'm saying is Muslims claim there was an original Torah.
Yes.
And at some point, this got lost in history.
Well, that's not what I said. No, that's not true.
No, but
that's not true. That's not what I said.
I'm not saying that's what
I never
didn't
said it
say-
got lost in
never,
history.
I never said you said that.
No, you said
I said-
Muslims say that.
In the general claim.
No, they don't.
Because, okay.
Let's talk about what the Quran says, not about Muslims say. What
Okay.
does the Quran say? And
Okay,
I've given you four senses that the Quran talks about corruption.
Okay, the first question would be, was there an original
Yes.
Torah?
We all agree on
Okay.
that.
So then,
Moses existed. He received the Torah from God.
So then the next question was, there was textual corruption at some point.
Right. I'll briefly go through the four senses that as a non-scholar, I could be wrong, so I'm welcome Nazam to correct me if I get it wrong. The four senses that I understand the Quran is talking about this. One is the Jews orally corrupted it, tarif as it's called. And this, Paul, his own actions certainly come within this definition, where they verbally misquote or obscure or put their hands over passages. We know this from the narrations of the time that they did this. Yeah.
Yes.
Another sense is actual textual corruption. Absolutely right. Tarif and Nast is also included in that.
My question was then, when did that part?
During the time of the Babylonian exile, were the Jews in Judea? Were they in possession? The remaining Jews, were they in possession of a scroll?
Can I just finish up this? Because there were four. The third one is, according to the Quran, as an allegation made against the Christians as well, is that they have forgotten a good part of what they were taught